Yes, welcome in, welcome in. Glad to have you. Another happy Father's Day. I'm recording this on Father's Day. I will probably put it out today because I you didn't get anything out Saturday and Friday, right? Yeah, Friday and Saturday. So probably put this out today. So it is Father's Day. Father's Day to every father and out there. And even though I acknowledge that and do it, we have noticed I'm going to show you the construct. We do everything that we celebrate is given to us, unless your culture creates its own, or your tribe, or your village, or your people create your own everything. And I'm just kind of showing you how this works, that we didn't create it. So this applies to every application of the system. They give us everything, and this is kind of why I went into the last videos, which please, I hope you watch and share. Those were very much me coming off the cuff of the acknowledgement and knowing of our reflection and mirror images of self, reflecting, taking full knowledge of who we are, what we radiate in our torus field, our electromagnetic field, which we will do more. I'm going to, do that in the future as we keep putting stuff out, information out, uploading and putting this information out. Thank you for all you guys. I've seen the increase, even in more subscribers. Thank you, new ones, them who stayed solid, them who interact. But always please share. That changes the algorithm to be out there. Share and like, please. And if you know people who are interested would this would be something that they would definitely hold and be interested in, that would be dynamic. I have those new subscribers. Some have hit me up, some have contacted me and said how much they like a lot of stuff, and it really goes where they're at in their walk. And anybody who's waking up and is open, because this can get a little deeper than the beginning of an initiation. We've talked about initiations before, right? The initiate within and the initiator within. Since we don't walk in initiate places that are giving these initiates and these and that we've had in antiquity, and in the past. God, that word really tongue ties me. Antiquity. How do you say it? Antiquity. In the past. Gosh, that word seems to always tongue tie me. But that you would have different societies or cultures, even Native American culture, that would have shamans that would walk you through the initiation to advance you to know the order of not being just in a physical word or mindset. So we're going to actually go into that, some ancient stuff today. I'm not going to try to say the A word since it seems to tongue tie me. Antiquity. What is this word I'm trying to say? I can't, so it tongue ties me. It was a word, it means the past or history.
Antiquity.
Antiquity, see? Antiquity.
Yeah.
Antiquity. I mean, my other half is superior half, if I can say, is telling me the true way to say it. I got tongue tied by that thing, but it means your past or in history, right? I could see even just by the pronunciation of the word, I can hear the word antique, which we know is older stuff. So from that word, I can even see that's probably where the word, if we went to etymology, comes from. Antiques would come from that word, be part of it. So without any further ado, let's talk about this. We're going to get into some of that today. So I'm going to video share. We're going to talk about us being Westerners, right? In a world that we walked into, birthed into. We're giving, like I was talking about Father's Day, all these days they always give it. The system says, here's a day to celebrate, y'all. Here's a day to celebrate. You go ahead and celebrate it, right? What about societies that celebrated things and didn't have that influence of, the government, the mentals pushing agendas, and did it for the betterment of their society, their spiritual growth, their unity? And when you start kind of doing some deep dives in history, you start finding out there's just different groups that even lasted hundreds of years, operating in a system of their own. And that's what we're going to get into today. We're going to get into, and it's actually called Eleusinian mysteries, if you've ever heard. So I'm going to share the screen. We're going to get into it. Definitely going to get into it, and we're going to share this. We're going to talk about it. And of course, like always, we're going to start here, and we're going to talk about this. So let's do this. I'm going to screen share this a little bit. Let's go here. All right, and let's go here to get that part out. Okay. The Eleusinians are an ancient Greek area that goes back in time. It was in Greece during in the past. I mean, there's actually been reported that some of people that went through this area, the Eleusinian, they had initiations. It was actually a culture that had initiations within the culture for the people that would live. So we're going to look at a couple different things about this. I'm going to share a video again at the end that's going to talk about it. But when we look at the Eleusinian, it was Greek. They were held every year. It was called the cult of Demeter, which you can see in ancient religion mythology is the Olympian goddess of the harvest and agriculture, residing over the crops, grain, and food. Fertility of the earth is also known as a goddess of grain, and appears as a goddess of health, birth, and marriage, right? Also, when you look at this, I also know that would be connected to astrological. That's your sign of Virgo also, which would be connected to the Virgin Mary. And when we start decoding this, which would be connected to Virgo, when the grains and the wheats are now coming out, right? They're now ready for the harvest, and the virgins, or the women, would go pick this, right? They would go get the harvest and the grain. And you can even see some of these, I know when you look at like the California seal, you kind of see the grain and the wheats on that, and you start looking at the symbolism, which is really, really out there. We're dealing with a world of symbolism that many scholars, many really spiritual, they said, if you don't know symbols, you really don't know what's going on. I fully believe that, because we have a world of symbols. It's everywhere. And what ends up happening, instead of us knowing the symbols ourselves and finding out knowledge, because you have to go find it. They're not going to be taught at your schools. They're not going to be taught at your universities unless you go into some comparative religion that may have it. They're not going to be taught anywhere unless you go to places who would teach this knowledge and would talk about these. You can self-teach it and find it, because it's there now. It's at your fingertips, right? On the internet, on the web, the World Wide Web. Notice webs have spiders, so be careful. You even have a dark web, right? Webs are for the catching of the bug or fly or any small insect we call pests. Into a spider's web would be total chaos and fear, but it would be food for the spider, right? Just had to throw that in here, but apply that, because I just said something. I'm talking right now in a riddle that's really an esoteric riddle that goes with this, because I'm going to share with you how this Eleusinian mystery, which was a culture that people lived for hundreds of years, and what they did and what they had, and the unity that they operated in, will eventually later in history get destroyed by who, Rome, the destroyers, because of the mysteries. They didn't want that out when you're going to give a worldwide religion in the World Wide Web. Do you get that? Yeah, let that sink in. Talking esoteric knowledge, and we're going to get in the mysteries, which is definitely, we talked about earlier. What's a mystery? It's also, you have to find out what the mystery is, but also in the word mystery, you see the word mist, right? The mist, hidden, veiled. So Eleusinians, ancient Greece, is a Panhelletic sanctuary of Eleusis in ancient Greece. Eleusis is a place. They are considered the most famous of religious rites of ancient Greece. Their basis was a Bronze Age cult. Remember, I'm reading from a Wikipedia, which may give you a very perverted knowing or a one-sided thought on what they were doing. Always, this is what you got when you watch The Wood and you watch movies and you know you're getting some good decoding of of things, right? You're getting a really good decode on the movie, and you're starting to see that there's esoteric everywhere, symbols, esoteric everywhere, language. Pay attention to that. You're always going to see the box or the gift, like the Bible, where you're trying to find the needle in the haystack. My gift, you open a big box and you got a lot of frivolous stuffed paper, styrofoam, and then you remove all that, and you get a little box of a small but very valuable gift, but it was in a huge box with a bunch of fluff, I call it. The Bible has a bunch of fluff to find the needle in the haystack because it's got a bunch of indoctrination. Remember, this Wikipedia could do the same thing to you. Kind of try to lead you a little astray, tell you half truths at times. Just know that. It talks about the Bronze Age, some of their practices. The mysteries represented the myth of the abduction of Persephone and her mother Demeter by the king of the underworld Hades, right? In a cycle of 3 phases: descent, loss; ascent, which we know there's descent is descending, ascent is ascending spiritually. Come on. And the union of her with her mother. It was a major festival during the Hellenic era, and later spread in Rome. Similar religious appear in the agriculture societies Near East and Minoan Crete, right? The rites and the ceremonies go on. They keep secret, consistently preferred in antiquity. They're aiming for the word. For the initiated, the rebirth is personified, symbolizes eternal life, which flows from generation to generation, and they believe they would have a reward in the afterlife. There are many paintings and pieces of pottery depict the various aspects of the mysteries. They really kept these mysteries, which is going to be explained in the video. They really kept them. When you went through these mysteries, you were told not to tell anybody, and they didn't. They would not tell anybody. They would not tell people. Even the people that lived in the community, in the area, in that culture, they wouldn't tell anybody. You knew it, and then you were sworn to secrecy after you participated in it. But the people, which Robert's going to really explain really well, because again, we're going to go to Robert Seffer, explain really well how this interacts with him, and he'll break it down how this really interacted with the community and even what they did. So the mysteries involve visions. Of course, you're going to see down lower. The ceremonies and experience span 2,000 years. Wow. So it makes sense. This experience, this culture in Greece had in the Eleusia lasted 2 millenniums before the Romans destroyed it. Destroyers destroy. Wow, but that's a long time, right? What's the United States, 247 coming up next month? That's nowhere near 2 millenniums, right? They were doing these practices, right? And what we'll see is they were getting them ready. They would go through it. We're going to go down. We taught, and here in America, we know, and many of us who walk the spiritual path know about mushrooms, ayahuasca. We have a Native American lineage knows about the mushroom and the shaman and the experience that you get, that you don't have fear of the non-physical life. These people would actually experience this, go through it in Eleusia, and guess what they would do? They would not ever be afraid of death again. Hear what I'm saying? And even though it's connected to Hades, remember Hades is where hell comes from. It's all Greek mythology and former mythology before that. The Bible is Greek Bible, right? Definitely Greek mythology is in it. I mean, Jesus is riding in the book of Revelations on a white horse in the sky. Come on. That's definitely... Come on, this is where we wake up and start using our common sense and come out of the dogmatic outer experience that of not being of having the awakening of the initiate into not living in the exoteric mindset of kindergarten and stuff, right? We wake up to, and when things start not having common sense. Yeah, snakes don't talk. It came from the psychedelic drugs. They use the psychedelic drugs, which are plants, which come from the earth, not made up psychedelic artificial drugs made at some lab, but came from the plant, and they would participate in it. So, and the name of the town was Eleusis, seems to be pre-Greek, before the pre-Greek and likely counterpart to Eleusinian and the goddess Eleuthia. That's actually a good one. So when you start seeing this, I'm going to go down here. The mysteries related to the myth of Demeter, the goddess of agriculture, fertility, which I mentioned early. Here's some of the symbols right here. According to the myth, during such, she actually died and resurrected. Does that sound familiar? This we went over the 16 saviors before the last one, the Roman, and we talked about this. This dying and reborn or resurrecting is a very ancient before the Rome. Oh, I thought I heard something over there. That's what I was doing. But anyways, so what we had was these things were happening. This is way before Romans 325 AD. Right? So on and on and on, we're going down, see if there's anything else on the mystery. They believe to have ancient origins, and Attica suggests a very ancient cult. As we go down farther, we start seeing, you may want to read this on yourself. It's an interesting story. It has a connection to Poseidon and Enisidion, the earth shaker, which would be, the earth shaker would be connected to an earthquake, right? So on and on and on. So the ritual connected to the myth of the agriculture god. Death remained a reality, but they knew that they really didn't die. They didn't go into fear, even though they understood that the lower realms is, they got freedom from guilt, and during this, and they let everybody in. It wasn't just for the rich. It wasn't just for the secret society. It wasn't just for all of them that are Freemasons have a secret society, while everybody in the outside, which is the majority, don't know. They allowed everybody to participate, rich, poor, whatever your status was, you could participate in these mysteries. That's cool, because we see this as all, increase of a number. The only requirements was the memberships were freedom from blood guilt, meaning they never have committed murder, not being a barbarian. Men and women, even slaves, were allowed participate in these mystery categories of the mysteries. Priest, hierophants, initiates undergoing ceremony for the first time. Others who already participated, they are eligible for the final category. Definitely had learned the secrets of the great mysteries. The priesthood officiating the mysteries was divided into several offices and ranks. High priestess of Demeter, hierophants, male high priest, the female high priest, the priestess. So they allowed them, that men serving as the torchbearers. The women were the Da Chazwa priest, is that, if I'm not Dad, Do Chaz Hosa priest. Female priestess assisted the men, and the office that inherited within these families, and it goes on and on. Secrets, then the on and on lesser. I'm not going to keep going. This is a lot of that. Read it your own self, but we're going to go some other places to share this, okay? Before we do this video. So here's another one, the Eleusinian myth, most of the famous secret religions, rites of ancient Greece, according to the myth told in Homeric about Demeter. It goes on about this. I believe that Plato participated in this. Plato's on record about going to this mystery school and participating in this mystery of the Eleusinian mysteries, the Eleusinians. Mysteries began, I'm going to read it here, the march, the mystic initiates and solemn procession from Athens to Eleusis. They performed in hall of initiation to remain secret. Something was recited, something was revealed, acts were performed, but in no sure evidence what the rites actually were. Some garbled information was given by later Christian writers who tried to condemn the mysteries as pagan abominations, which they always do. I mean, that's their game when, like I said, we'll look up the word pagan and we're going to break that down in etymology, and you're going to go, what? That's not bad. Of course it's not. Find out what you've been, spoon-fed through the millenniums. Because Christianity, and based especially from Rome, is all what you would call pagan. All of it. All these religions, pagan backgrounds. Why do you think we have Christmas during the winter solstice? It's there. But the word pagan, when you get down to it and look it up in etymology, it means a free thinker. That's me. Always free thinking, right? That's why we came out of traditions. That's why we got initiated within, because we're free thinking. And I really looked at this the other day. I'm going to tie this in. The story of Christ in the Gnostic Gospels differs from the Roman Gospels, is what they put in the canon. Man, you can call them holy all you want. I don't buy it. Not a bit. In fact, I would say they're opposite. But you start looking at this, and then you look at the story of Jesus. He called the religious. He always attacked verbally the religious of that time. He did. The religious, Sadducee, Pharisee, publican, lawyers, tax collectors, judges. That's who he attacked. The regular people that we've been calling sinners and no good people, and he didn't condemn them. The ones he went after in the story was those I mentioned beforehand, right? Showing and revealing what they were. Just telling you, this is the way it is. The mysteries were for all people here. It wasn't just a secret society like we know. Freemasons, you belong to this, group. You want to get status quo. You take the Faustinian bargain, get your record deal, get your movie deal, but you got to then bite the bullet and stuff. So, how it's unclear. They kept it such a mystery by the sworn of everybody that did it. People really don't know all what took place in it. Like I said, the Christian writers who try to condemn. It's clear, however, the neophytes were initiated in stages. Neophytes is like a baby. It's a beginner. It's not. Adept would be somebody that's mature. So a neophyte here is a baby, somebody who's new to it. They were initiated in stages. And I said this before. We grow and process in stages. I even seen this, about just the other day in watching The Matrix, because I'm going to break down The Matrix here, the movie, with scenes. We're going to do this with the scenes and then break down the scenes and what was said and what was done to show how I more and more don't think it's the movies are, people have them as movies. We just did the movie breakdown of energy and motion, and how movie is connected to you through the process of using your I and your E, your energy. The movement, i.e., that was one of the last videos we did, right? This applies, so this goes right into it. Why do you need initiations? Because it's the same, it applies to school. When you're in first grade, there's certain things that you're taught. When you're in second grade, there's certain things you're taught, right? That the first graders don't get second grader stuff. The second graders don't get third grader stuff. This is a degree. This would be initiation. The beginners, the neophytes, would get that which is from the beginning and when they were ready. So when I was doing a part of looking at The Matrix, I seen there's a part where the guy that's working in there comes in Trinity and he goes, what if he is? And then Trinity says, you're a believer. And he goes, but why hasn't Morpheus introduce Neo to the Oracle? And he says, when it's time, he will, meaning it's not time yet. The initiation isn't there yet. That's why you would have a secret side initiate. Where I used to see it, this is all done bad. We see it here. The public doesn't know. We even seen the word esoteric means for the secret, the inner club, and exoteric means for the public. This wasn't done, it was done for an inner club, not to carry the knowledge outside of them, but everybody was invited. We don't get that here. We don't get that here with the, as we see. I don't need to be named. You know who they are. We all see you. Yeah. We don't get that. But this group really did that, which I thought was pretty darn cool, that they allowed everybody in to participate in it. And if I'm not, we're going to listen to a video on that. So when we go down, we can see that they had these rites. Go down here. We were there. The neophytes were initiated in stages, like degrees, and the annual process began with purification rites that they were called the lesser mysteries, the beginning mysteries, the lesser, lower round mysteries, but the beginning, taking the veil off at the beginning, held at Argai, the stream of Eleusis, outside of Athens in the month of February and March. So springtime, spring solstice, right? As we go into the spring solstice, the end of winter. The greater mysteries, Eleusis, was celebrated annually in Bodhariram in September, October, which now it tells me we're including into fall. And included was a ritual bath in the sea, 3 days of fasting, completion of, so they knew a little bit of still mystery site rites. The acts completed the initiation, and the initiate was promised benefits from some kind in the afterlife. And the thing that they got from the afterlife probably was they kind of shared with them what I would say is that if you know your dream world, right? Your dream world, when you go into your dream world, when you go into that space, which is you put the physical asleep and you went into the dream space, there's a lot going on there. I believe that's what you experience. I'm at the point now I'm totally sold out. Gnostic knowing that when you see your dream is what happens when you leave this body somewhat is connected there. You have it's an same experience. Let's go. We're going to watch a little short video. This is a very powerful video about this. Let me do something else here. Let's go here. Let's go here. And we're going to listen to this video. It's very good. It's going to go into descriptive stuff about this, right? So we're going to do this.
Situated west of Athens, became the most important religious center of the pagan world during its time. According to the old belief and narrations in Homeric hymn, Demeter, goddess of agriculture, stopped to rest at Eleusis during her quest for her daughter, Persephone, who was kidnapped by Hades. There, Demeter ordered a temple and altar to be built in her honor. After the joyful reunion of the goddess with the missing Persephone, she instructed the leaders of Eleusis in how to perform her rites. The cult, then, is believed to have been taught directly by Demeter herself. The Eleusinian mysteries were initiations held every year in ancient Greece based on the myth of Persephone, daughter of Zeus and Demeter, who was also the goddess of spring, who in her youth spent her time among blooming flowers and fruit trees. She was admired for her beauty and graceful movement, when one day, while collecting
so what you would go is in the Greek mythology and you would read the story. He's giving you a background of the story of the mythology, okay?
wreaths and lilies with her friends, the nymphs, Hades, the god of the underworld, fell in love and kidnapped her from the land of the living on his chariot, forcing her to be his bride and making her his queen. Her mother, Demeter, goddess of the harvest and fertility, searched for her for 9 days and nights after the abduction with torches lit in her hands, leaving no stone unturned. However, in the process, she neglected to fulfill her job. Crops and plants all over the world began to die. The leaves fell from the trees and the ground became barren. Things were looking bleak, and in order to save mankind, the gods knew they would have to intervene, so demanded that Hades let her go. Determined not to lose his queen completely, Hades tricked her into eating some pomegranate seeds, as those who eat from the depths of hell must always return. As a compromise, Persephone would return to Earth for 6 months of the year. Demeter, being delighted at the return of her daughter, was
That's when I heard the story that the land went barren, the leaves were falling. It reminded me of winter in the story. It was just kind of showing you the death of winter. And she had went into the underworld, which winter's considered. By Hades kidnapping her, she went down under the underworld, right? And remember that's the story of, see, these mythologies are not designed to be taken literal, but they actually have the truth written, and that's biblical. That's what an allegorical is. That's what the parable is. That's what a dark saying, it says in the Old Testament, is. Come on now. All this is telling you something greater about yourself than a historical story, which really don't pertain to you. Now it does, because it's really about you, and you can see that's what I seen when I heard. I said, that sounds like winter. It's telling you about winter.
was able to return to her work. Crops began to grow,
6 months she came back.
flowers bloomed, and the leaves returned to the trees, giving, of course, the seasons. In the months that Persephone is on earth, Demeter, the goddess of earth and vegetation, blooms and blesses everything from her joy, while in the months that Persephone leaves for the underworld, all the fruits of the people wither, mourning like the goddess Demeter from her sorrow. The mysteries that centered around this myth refers to the mystery of life, death, and life after death, and involved a cycle with 3 phases: the descent or loss, the search, and the ascent, with the main theme being the ascent or resurrection of Persephone.
Before you go there, notice it was descent, which is descending, and then look or search he used. Search is being curious, trying to find what's the truth, and then it went into ascension. Ascension. This is also 6 months of I would say this is probably the 6 months of her being there represented the springtime through the fall.
And the reunion with her mother. It is the constant cycle of life, from the wilting and mourning of the barren land to the rebirth of vegetation and fruitfulness. It is the cyclical change that occurs in everything, inside and outside of us. The ceremonies
In and
involve
out.
elaborate,
Esoteric, exoteric.
prolonged orgies that infuse the people with joy, upliftment, and happiness.
I got to play that back for you again if you didn't catch it, because I was talking on that. Listen to what he just said. This will get us to somewhere we're going to cover in a later, but it will lead to it.
The ceremonies involved elaborate, prolonged orgies that infused the people with joy, upliftment, and happiness, while teaching the inhabitants the cultivation of wheat and honoring the cycles of nature. The rituals allegedly infused the crops with fertility, while ushering in a new generation of citizens. The esoteric aspect of the initiation had to do with the energetic transmutation of sex energy, and secrecy regarding this sacred internal alchemy was strictly enforced. Although its origins were said to have come from the time of Atlantis, resurfacing as a Minoan cult where Demeter was allegedly a poppy goddess who brought the poppy from Crete to Eleusis. It was a major festival during the Hellenic era, later spreading to Rome, representing the cycles of nature with the annual celebrations and rituals lasting uninterrupted for 2,000 years. Anyone had a chance to attend the mysteries, rich or poor, even slaves, but the rule was that you could only go once in your entire life, and you were sworn to silence. Similar religious rites appear in the agricultural societies of the Near East, with the rites, ceremonies, and beliefs kept secret and consistently preserved from antiquity. For the initiated, the rebirth of Persephone symbolized spiritual immortality, the idea that all is connected and eternal, the embodiment of the axiom, know thyself. How can one describe as other than oneself that which, when one saw it, seemed to be one with oneself. This is no doubt why, in the Eleusinian mysteries, we are forbidden to reveal them to the uninitiated.
Hey, want to know how I got this $50,000 check for an accident I was involved in over 5 months ago? Look, if you've been injured in a car accident...
That the initiates experience in the course of the Eleusinian mysteries was the sacred potion Kykeon, which had psychoactive properties capable of inducing visions of the afterlife so powerful that it changed the way participants saw the world and their place in it. They were freed from the fear of death through the recognition that they were immortal souls temporarily in mortal bodies. The beverage was said to have been infused with honey, barley, the fungus ergot, which is like LSD, and or other hallucinogens, such as psilocybin mushrooms, after which the initiates were taken to an underground theater where the secret part of the ritual took place. This part of the rite was said to involve a symbolic reenactment of the death and rebirth of Persephone, giving the initiate confidence to face death and a promise of bliss in the dark domain of Hades. Whatever happened in the Testarion, those who entered in would come out the next morning radically changed. Similar psychedelic substances and tantric rituals were performed in the Bacchanalia, and according to some reports, the wines used in the Dionysian rituals had to be diluted 3 to 20 times, and just 3 cups of it, quote, brought some initiates to the brink of insanity. That said, in order to participate in the greater mysteries, the initiates were required to have gone through the preliminary part of the ritual, which involved fasting and purification. Plato, who was an initiate of the mysteries, mentioned it in his dialogue on the immortality of the soul. The Phaedo, saying that, quote, our mysteries had a very real meaning. He that has been purified and initiated shall dwell with the gods. Plutarch, also an initiate, wrote that, quote, because of those sacred and faithful promises given in the mysteries, we hold it firmly and for an undoubted truth that our soul is incorruptible and immortal. In the giant initiation hall in Eleusis, more than 3,000 neophytes at a time experienced powerful psychoactive spiritual transformation from 2,000 consecutive years until the Christian emperor Theodosius interdicted participation in the mysteries and all other pagan cults. The cultural importance of these mysteries.
Wow. 2,000 years they participated in this. And what I understand, once you did it once, you didn't do it again. So the new people who were coming were doing it for the first time to get initiated as beginners, neophytes as a beginner, and then from then on they would go into that. And then, as you said, the Emperor of Rome stopped it, right? As we know where that story ends up going.
For the ancient world and their yet unacknowledged role in the history of European civilizations becomes evident when we realize that there were many famous and illustrious figures of antiquity among the initiates. The list of neophytes included the philosophers Plato and Aristotle, as well as Emperor Marcus Aurelius, and the Roman statesman and philosopher Marcus Cicero. Among the many exceptional and divine things your Athens has produced and contributed to human life, nothing is better than those Eleusinian mysteries. For by means of them, we have been transformed from a rough and savage way of life to the state of humanity, and have been civilized. Just as they are called initiations, so in actual fact we have learned from them the fundamentals of life, and have grasped the basis not only for living with joy, but also for dying with a better hope. the specifics of the consciousness expanding procedures involved in these secret rites have remained, for the most part, unknown to modern academia, however, survived in the various mystery schools of the Orient and those brought into Europe by the Knights Templar and kept alive by the medieval alchemists. In the book, The Immortality Key, The Secret History of Religion with No Name, author Brian Muraresco says, though we are liable to forget Western civilization was not founded as a Christian enterprise, the ancient Greece that invented democracy and birthed all the arts and sciences we now take for granted never heard of Jesus. Before Jerusalem, before Rome, before Mecca, there was Eleusis. If Athens of the 5th and 4th centuries BC was the true source of Western life in the 21st century, then Eleusis was our first undisputed spiritual capital. The word mystery comes from the Greek muo, which literally means to shut one's eyes. Under penalty of death, all visitors of the Eleusinian mysteries were explicitly forbidden from revealing what they saw on the inside. Whatever happened in Eleusis stayed in Eleusis. In its heyday, the temple attracted
that statement, whatever happened in Eleusis stays. I bet you that's where Vegas comes from. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Because guess what? This was before Vegas.
best and brightest Athens had to offer, including Plato. To keep his experience classified, the godfather of Western philosophy used vague, cryptic language to describe the blessed sight and vision he witnessed in the state of perfection, the climax of his initiation into the holiest of mysteries. Like all travelers, Plato was permanently transformed by whatever he observed in Eleusis, the latest in a long line of visionaries, men and women, with exclusive access to cosmic truths. Following their sip of an unusual elixir and a night of tantric spectacles in the temple, each pilgrim earned the honorary title Epoptes, which means something like the one who has seen it all. Beyond any doubt, they claimed, death was not the end of our human journey. We do, in fact, survive the physical body. And underneath this mortal clothing, we are all immortals in disguise, gods and goddesses destined to the stars for eternity. Aristotle once said, the initiates came to Eleusis not to learn something, but to experience something. One inscription found on the site says, quote, death is for mortals no longer an evil, but a blessing. Pindar, perhaps the greatest lyric poet of ancient Greece, and a fellow initiate, wrote in the 5th century BC, quote, blessed is he who has seen these things before he goes beneath the hollow earth, for he understands the end of mortal life and the beginning of a new life given of God. Like the mystics that would infuse Christianity, Judaism, and Islam in the millennia to come, the Greeks held the ancient esoteric belief of dying before dying, or being born again. The myth was studied by Carl Jung, who agreed with Voltaire that, quote, everything in life is reincarnation. That said, apart from the relationship between life and death, the myth has a lot to teach us about the mother-child relationship, where Demeter, as Mother Earth, the life-giving source, expresses an unconditional love, which we also see expressed later in the Virgin Mary, Mother of Jesus. Your book outlet, if you'd like to support my weekend, and I hope to see you again soon.
All right. How many of you have ever heard of them? Heard of that civilization? It's powerful. A lot of stuff like that is hidden in the past that we weren't Were you ever taught that in history? Probably not. Uh, um, and how they changed, and how this experience changed a mentality and a mindset of spirituality. And one of the key things you heard it talking about tantric. Tantra is actually what we call sex magic. And if you go to each religion and go into I'm just gonna be honest with you, and we're gonna go into it, and I'm gonna bring it out, share video, we're gonna talk about it in the future. The sex tantric magic, because there's tantric yoga, there's actually tantric Buddhism. Yes, there is. And this was infusing feminine and masculine energy together to create, and then do an alchemy on it to change it into spiritual power or energy through this process, which I'm just giving you that. We will talk about it later, and that's what he was talking about. Sex energy, sex magic. Yes. Very powerful. And you've seen who was involved in it. You've seen the people were involved in it and the quotes they had. It lasted for 2 millenniums until, of course, it got brought down with what would happen later, as you know, be very aware of, which has been going on for almost 2 millenniums now. But that's powerful to me. Very powerful, and the experience and the mysteries being revealed, and the knowing coming out of it. Not a believer no more, a knower, and not living in fear. It says everybody that came through that was changed, and they were sworn to secrecy, and they really don't know what was in that theater, because the sworn to secrecy was kept. He said even by Plato writing about it, or still writing about it, and doing vague esoteric information that you would have to know that to decode it, because exoterics aren't going to know that. They think the Nazi sign originated in Germany still, right? So even though the Germans knew it wasn't. So you guys have a great day. We're gonna talk about some more. We got some more word of the days. We got some more music breakdown. I believe my next musical song. How about the last few songs I broke down? Powerful, right? Satan, or Satan, Satan or Satan. And we got in a little bit geometria in that, which we will even do at a later time. But you guys have a great day, and we will see you soon. Bye.